Hey everyone, welcome to the Acrobatic Arts Podcast. I'm Loren, and I will be interviewing some of the top leaders and innovators from the dance and acrobatic industry. If you are a teacher, performer, student, or a lifelong learner like myself, you are sure to find these episodes intriguing and full of inspiration. Acrobatic Arts is passionate about providing current and relevant information for everyone. So please, sit back and enjoy as we share our passion with you and the world. We have a special treat for you today. Our guest is not just an expert in the art of acro, but someone who vividly remembers the exhilarating journey of learning handstands for the first time. Joining us is the wonderful Jemma Harris, here to share her insights, tips, and the joys of taking those initial steps into the world of handstands. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, get ready for an inspiring conversation with Jemma.
Thank you so much for having me, Loren. I am so excited to be here and cannot wait to share.
Before we start our discussion on handstands, could you please introduce yourself for our listeners who may not be familiar with your background in dance, acro, and your role with acrobatic arts?
Of course, I have been involved in dance since I was just a tiny tot. The first time I put on a leotard and a ballet skirt was when I was just 3 years old, and I fell in love with dance at that very moment. I trained in all styles my whole life, however, only really dabbled in enough acro to complement more complex skills in other styles such as contemporary. I completed exams in Comdance jazz, tap, and contemporary, as well as RAD ballet, including my advanced too. And I honestly believe that developing the understanding of technique refinement and striving to always improve the basics has made me the teacher I am today. I went on to work professionally on cruise ships, and after noticing the array of acro abilities and differences in training, I felt it was so important to be able to provide our students with something that was world-renowned. Now, for acrobatic arts, I am a course conductor and examiner for acro arts and aerial arts, and I am also a course conductor for acro dance preschool and ready set acro. I am going to let you know that these have a very special place in my heart. Don't get me started on the frog jump because we will be here for hours. I am so very fond of the frog jump. I'm so grateful for my training from so many incredible educators over the years and hope to continue providing safe and inspiring dance training for generations to come.
Jemma, I love that you love the frog jump.
I love the frog jump. It is my favorite. Don't get me started because we will be here all day about how that frog jump position is the progression for the round off. And I am so passionate. So maybe we can do another podcast on the frog jump, Lorraine.
I was just going to say, we'll have to make another show. Now, moving on, learning a handstand. Jemma, what makes mastering this important skill essential for anyone who is starting their journey in acrobatics?
Now, for all my ballet teachers out there, let me explain the handstand like a plie. Handstands comprise about 80% of acrobatic skills, which is a lot. Think about it the same way we think about a demi-plie in ballet. It is a really essential, fundamental part of training. A plie is a skill that we train from the moment you have a tiny dancer walk in. We talk about correct placement of the feet, their smiley face feet. We talk about posture and alignment. We talk about bending very straight in the toaster without burning their bottoms off. And we begin to teach rotation. These fundamental elements are spoken about and refined all the way through a dancer's journey. And I truly believe that a skill like a plie is so hard to perfect. If we think about a handstand in the same way, we will always be striving to refine the technique so we can create a handstand that is always improving. It is essential that students master this skill to progress successfully into other acro skills.
That is so true and so important. Thank you for mentioning it that way or explaining it that way. It's like the gateway skill to the acro universe.
Absolutely.
You master your handstand, and then so many more skills will be at your fingertips to try.
Yep, the world is your oyster once you have that beautiful handstand.
So what are some key progressions or steps that teachers should have their students focus on to develop a strong foundation in handstands?
So for me personally, there are a few boxes I like to tick in terms of a strong foundation for handstands. And these include posture, strength, alignment, and stacking. Now, all of these elements can and should be trained separately. Let's talk about posture first. before my dancers even go upside down, I want to know that they understand how to stand up straight. I like to stand with my jelly bean back and my wet spaghetti arms. And I say, if I start like this, what will my handstand look like? And they are definitely not afraid to tell me that my handstand will not be great. Although there are so many elements of posture, again, if you get me started on posture, we will be here for hours. But for the purpose of handstands, I'm going to focus on the hips and core. The hips should be level and square. It's really important that dancers understand a neutral pelvic alignment with the core engaged. Now, for beginners and younger dancers, I like to train this alignment of the hips by visualizing the pelvis as a really large bowl of water. If we tip the hip bones forward, we create an anterior pelvic tilt where the water would be spilling out of the bowl towards the front of the body. Now, this is what we commonly see when we go upside down into the handstand. And this is usually caused due to a lack of core strength or a lack of postural control. So really take the time to focus on it when we are upright. If we tuck the pelvis under, we show a posterior pelvic tilt and the water tips backwards. If we hitch a hip, the water tips to the side, and we can also twist the pelvis on its horizontal plane. To maintain the neutral pelvic alignment, we want the students to engage through the lower core. Following the pelvis, we look towards the core and ribs. It is really important that the core and the muscles of the back are engaged to support the back. Often we notice a real flaring of the ribs. Cue the dancers to put shoelaces on their ribs and lace them tightly together. Keeping in mind that the head and pelvis are the heaviest parts of the body, it is important that these remain in alignment to avoid creating any other postural issues. A really simple cue for encouraging posture at a lower level is zippers, lace, and necklace. So dancers put on their jeans and zip them up. They place shoelaces on their ribs and lace them tightly together. And they put a necklace on to lengthen the neck. We have to have stacking upright before we can start to work on stacking upside down. The next thing that we need is strength. Almost every strength skill in the acrobatic arts syllabus complements and improves the handstand. These are plank, tabletop, V-sit, shoulder shrugs, shoulder touches. Anything on the hands is going to assist with the handstand. Not only do we need strength, but we need strength that shows really great alignment. Static strength is the best time to train correct alignment for handstands. When training alignment, really consider the placement of the hands and elbows, the strength-supported shoulder position, and engagement of the core. Then we put it all together with stacking. If we have worked meticulously on the previous elements, it will all come together. Postural control, strength, and alignment will assist with the training of stacking in a handstand.
Amazing tips for everyone. And you have such wonderful use of imagery that I can tell that you are a fun and engaging teacher, but doing it for a reason to get your students stronger and understanding the posture and the technique that they need.
Absolutely. I think imagery is something that is so important, especially for your younger dancers and beginner dancers. And it helps us train alignment. It helps us train anatomical awareness, and the students know where their bodies are in space and how to actually correct these things with a really clear visual of what we want them to do.
Exactly. Jemma, what are your favorite skills and drills for beginners to help them build the necessary strength, flexibility, and confidence for the handstand skill?
So, Loren, there are so many different things that we can use to train the handstand, but for the purpose of today, I've picked out a few of my favorites. So some skills and drills that I love for the handstand are, of course, the plank. Now, thinking beginner handstands, we need to have these dancers on their hands as much as possible. Beginners, as well as tiny tots, need to develop strength in all areas: their wrists, arms, shoulders, core, back, and legs. And the safest way to do this is in a plank. Now, I'm not just talking your regular plank. Of course, we want to refine technique in a solid plank, but we want to keep it engaging. So how might we do this? You can balance something on the student's upper back. You can have relay races, plank with other students jumping over or crawling under. You can have wheelbarrow races, jumping the feet in and out in a plank, walking the feet into pike and back out. You can do inchworms. The list goes on. There are so many different things you can do in a plank. Another skill I love for handstands, especially for beginner students, is rock and roll to candle. Now, rock and roll to candle is a really fantastic tool to build core strength as well as stacking in a straight alignment. And it allows the students to find stacked without taking weight into their hands. I encourage my students to rock into their candle position and then place their hands behind the hips. In this position, we're cueing the opening through the hips and the same alignment we aim to create in a handstand. Cue the dancer with hips forward and heels back. And this will really initiate the engagement of the lower core to access the flexibility and opening through the front of the hip. After developing the understanding of the stacking and alignment, do these dynamically as well. So the students are creating the muscle memory to achieve stacking immediately. Think of a handstand. There is really only a split second for the dancer to find stacked. It is so important they have the muscle memory to be able to achieve this. If we look at some more drills for stacking in a static handstand, one that my students love at the moment is our pike handstand at the wall with tunnel ball. Now, for my students, they go up to the wall, they do their pike handstand facing the wall, and they have to create that perfect box shape. The first person is going to roll the ball all the way through until it gets down to the end. And then the last person is going to grab that ball, run back around to the start and roll again until the ball has gone through all of the dancers. Now, teachers, you will be so surprised how long they can hold that handstand when they have that little challenge. Now, once students have developed the strength to show a static handstand, we can also start training handstands in the center. Now, this is adding a whole new element of dynamics, and I'd love to train needle drills to find stacking in the center. Now, these drills are going to be your best friend, and they are applicable to so many skills in acro, such as aerials and walkovers. My dancers love doing these with the slider. The slider under the back foot helps to initiate the power through the kicking leg and the extension of the knee and foot, which is going to create that beautiful 12 o'clock needle. They can then progress to do these in an L handstand, a pre-handstand, and a straight handstand. There are so many fundamental elements of a handstand and so many ways you can train them. If you focus on the fundamentals and train them in an array of different ways, you are sure to see success.
Well, I can tell you one thing. I am definitely going to use that wall handstand with the ball rolling through. It gives the dancers an extra challenge, and I'm sure they're going to hold it longer than they would before.
It's so much fun. And we have a little challenge with them. So every week they try and go faster and faster, but sometimes they're holding that handstand for 5 minutes, depending on how many students I have in the class. And they just love it. It's got that little bit of cardio in there as well when they run back to the start. So it's a really great one to do. Lots of fun.
That's amazing. I love it. As we wrap up, I would love to shift the focus to you, Jemma. What are you currently working on, and where can we find you next?
Lorraine, I am constantly working on furthering my knowledge to provide the most up-to-date training in my classes, and you will find me training the next generation of dancers with lots and lots of handstands.
Awesome. Listeners, if you didn't guess, Jemma is in Australia. So if any of you are looking for a course, you should definitely go check them out online. And if you're lucky enough, you may get Jemma or even one of our other instructors at these courses. Jemma, a huge thank you for sharing your expertise on beginner handstands and providing valuable teaching tools for our audience. You have been an incredible guest, and we're truly grateful for your time and wisdom. Until next time, thank you, Jemma.
Thank you so much, Lorraine.
I hope you are all feeling inspired and ready to embark on your own handstand journey. If you enjoyed today's episode and want more acro goodness, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Also, share this with your friends, especially those who are working on perfecting their handstands, because who doesn't love a good handstand buddy? Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a great day.